This video is about the Cipher 13 of the Zodiac killer case. I read all letters again and had still the idea that the Zodiac gave hints to his identity. The first cipher was the Cipher 408, which was solved by Betty and Donald Hart in a couple of days. The next encrypted letter is the Cipher 340, solved 50 years later by the case breakers. The method's substitution is in a diagonal way, from left up to right down in a horse jump way. You can watch how the cipher was made on David Oranchik's YouTube channel. When we take a look at this envelope, we recognize that the "Please rush to the editor" is written in the same diagonal way. The idea that the Zodiac gave an implicit hint is reasonable in my opinion. So in the letter for the Cipher 13, the Zodiac presented his name in encrypted letters. I think on the envelope we can see that the position of the word editor is not made on the left. It's not on the middle. It seems a little bit unorganized, which the Zodiac did not do in any other letter that way. So I do believe it's made on purpose to show implicitly that the Cipher 13 is not one cipher, it's two ciphers. The first three letters consist of AEN. The other cipher is 10 letters. They start at the Zodiac sign. I tried to put Arthur Lee Allen in because he's the main suspect. He wanted to get caught Lee, so I tried Lee Allen. These are 10 letters, 3 times an L, 2 times an E, and the rest 1 time. Because the name fits into the cipher, I gave it a try. The first letters AEN could stand for Alfred E. Newman. Alfred E. Newman is the mascot of the famous Mad magazine, which started at 1952. This magazine is a satirical comedy. The Zodiac wrote in his Exorcist letter from 1974 that the movie, The Exorcist, was the best satirical comedy he has ever seen. Also, we know he likes the musical The Mikado, which is also satirical, and so we can assume that the Zodiac consumed cultural content which are based on satire. In the Mad magazine I read the letters to the editor and some stories until the 20th April of 1970, when the Zodiac sent his letter with the Cipher 13. Some stories are interesting because there are similarities. One example is to write letters in the wrong way, like on this front page here. The Zodiac wrote many sentences in his letters with wrong words in it. Another example is the form of writing words in a performative way, that the words become another meaning, a second meaning. So it could be that the Zodiac read the Mad magazine and took inspiration out of it. Donald Lee Cheney was a former friend of the main suspect in this case and said in the documentary his name was Arthur Lee Allen, following sentence.
He said he would give himself an identity and write letters to the editors, and he'd have a name, and it would be Zodiac.
Unfortunately, in the letters to the editor, I did not find any name of the suspects which are linked to the Zodiac case. Then the thought occurred to me that the Zodiac is extremely deceptive, and the difference in difficulty between the letter 408 and 340 is enormous. So I believe he kept his identity disguised, but also gave the relevant information into the letter 13. But maybe he wrote his name after 1970 into the letters of the editor, to be as disguised and hidden as possible, but also be truthful. In the Mad magazine, there's a Paradise in the Pines from 1970. The Zodiac wrote a Pines card to the news stations in 1971. One name I figured out is Lawrence Lane. The real suspect is Lawrence Kane, who is a major suspect. and he used many different names. The other one is found later. This letter here is from New Zealand and comes from Richard Marshall. He's also one of the major suspects in this case, and I would say he's on the same level like Lawrence Kane. He is also known under different names like Rick Marshall, who wrote a letter to the editor in the Batman comic from 1940. This is everything I got, but maybe there are still strange messages in this magazine or other magazines which need to be read. I believe that the Zodiac was a calculating person who lived a double life, but he was also impulsive. So the way to find him is to find what he got inspired from. This has to be something cultural, which everyone can find in the public. And I do believe it's after 1965 and before 1968.